Welcome and thank you for watching. As you might know, I'm Natalie Bryn and I've been a piano teacher for over 22 years. I'm also the creator of the Piano with Ease method, which helps busy adults quickly and easily learn to play the piano without the years of frustration from having to learn to read traditional sheet music first. Today, with my commitment to keep bringing value to you every week, we'll be continuing going through my guide 10 easy solutions for busy adults to finally learn to play the piano. This week we'll be talking about solution number 3, play on a good sounding instrument. This might sound obvious, but if your instrument doesn't sound pleasing to your ear when you play it, it will really kill your motivation to want to get in some piano time. I'll be covering some points for acoustic or stringed pianos and also for digital pianos or electronic keyboards. So first, acoustic pianos. These do require regular maintenance. They'll have to be kept tuned at least once a year, sometimes twice a year if you live in a climate with extreme temperature changes or if your piano is near an exterior wall of your home near a window. Your piano strings do relax and go out of tune over time. They'll make your tone sound a little flatter than it's supposed to be. Then your piano won't sound at the same pitch as a tuned piano or as a pre-programmed digital piano or electronic keyboard. To get a little technical, the universal pitch standard for tuning pianos is called A440, which corresponds to a frequency of 440 Hertz. So if your acoustic piano isn't tuned to the same universal standard pitch, then if you tried to play along with a video in my course or with someone else playing on a tuned piano, then your piano would sound off. It would not sound the same. For example, here's a note called middle C. And here's how it sounds on a tuned piano. But some acoustic pianos might be so out of tune that their middle C actually sounds like the note lower, like my B. So you might be wondering, how can you tell if your piano is out of tune? At the end of this video, I'll include a video that I made previously that shows you some examples of how an out of tune piano might sound, and it actually has a place where you can play along with me and see if your piano sounds like mine or if it sounds off. If your piano is really out of tune or hasn't been tuned for years, then your piano technician might actually suggest 2 or more tunings to slowly bring your piano up to A440. They can't always tune strings clear back up immediately. They might have to do a little over time in order to prevent damaging the strings. So they'll still tune your piano so it sounds congruent and much nicer. It's tuned to itself, in other words, but it still won't be the universal A440 standard. So if you ever get your piano tuned and it still doesn't sound like mine, then that might be why. A piano technician can also check for any broken parts. To fix broken pedals or keys that don't play right, it's night and day difference to play on a piano that is freshly tuned and sounds amazing. Some people choose to get a digital keyboard so that they don't have to worry about the upkeep of tuning, although it is hard to replicate that sound you get when you play an acoustic piano and the sound goes out and fills the entire room. So next I'll share some things about digital or electronic pianos so that you can sound your best on them too. Or if you're shopping for one, you can make a more informed decision. Not all digital pianos are created equal. First of all, there might be different lengths of keyboards. A standard piano has 88 keys, the same as an acoustic piano, like this top keyboard, but this bottom one is shorter. It only comes with 61 keys. Starting on a smaller keyboard is fine, but over time, as you learn more complex songs, you'll probably want to upgrade to a larger keyboard so that you can utilize more notes. The second thing to consider when you're getting a digital piano or a keyboard is that when you play a real acoustic piano, the keys have substance. They have a little weight or resistance when you press each key. So that makes it so you're able to play louder or softer on each key because the keys are very responsive, which allows you to put different types of emotion into your song. For example, on my digital keyboard, if I start out soft, then I can grow in loudness, or vice versa. The worst and cheapest types of keyboards that I've seen have been those kind that come from toy stores, where no matter how hard you play or how soft you play, the note is just one pre-recorded note, so it sounds exactly the same, like robotic, no matter what you play. This will lead to terrible habits that you'll have to later undo, and it's just not satisfying to play. When you play on a digital keyboard, then there are many tones that have been pre-programmed in, depending on how loud or softly you press the key down. So you'll want to look for weighted keys and touch-sensitive keys. These will feel the most like playing a real acoustic piano, and it'll be easier to control how you sound on them. In fact, if you turn off your keyboard and just play through some of the keys and just listen to the sound that the keys themselves make, the more plastic and cheap that the keys sound when the keyboard is off, then it's probably a cheaper keyboard altogether. In fact, I'm about to show you a video I took of myself playing different keyboards that were turned off and see if you can hear a bit of the difference in sound. You can hear how they make a little plastic noise, kind of. And then on this one, where the keys are a lot more weighted and made to feel more like the feel of a real piano, they don't just have that give, they have more resistance like a real piano key has. So now you've learned some things to do and look for in order to make sure you're playing on a great quality sounding instrument. But I do want to add that I always tell my members, if it's a challenge to get something better right now, then start with what you have. You can learn so much right now with what you have, especially in the Piano with Ease program, and then you'll appreciate it so much more when you can get something better, rather than putting off your entire goal of playing piano until all the stars align and everything is perfect. I've heard the saying that someone doesn't want to die with their music still inside them. So get started today. Perhaps there's a great sounding piano at a school or church you attend that you could arrange to use, or perhaps a relative or a friend has one that you could come over and use or borrow. So see what you can put in place today. Okay, and now lastly, we're about to watch the video where you can actually learn if your piano is in tune. So in a minute it will switch to that video that I made in the past, but just know that the first about 7 seconds the sound is really low and then it goes up on your own. So it will fix on its own, nothing's wrong, just keep watching. And before you go, be sure to check the links underneath this video so you can play your first Piano with Ease song for free. Thank you so much. Hey, so I'm going to show you on this keyboard that has a pitch bender how a piano could potentially sound depending if it's barely out of tune or a lot out of tune. I've pre-recorded into my digital starting at middle C and playing the next 4 notes up towards the right, so it will sound like this. And I'll show you that compared to some notes that might be out of tune. So just listen this first time and see if you can tell how it sounds off or different. So that's a little flat. See, it just sounds almost like another note. So if it doesn't sound the same, you won't have the benefit of practicing with me or playing with the backing track, because it will sound kind of sour or off like it just barely sounded. Now, if you're next to your piano, I'm going to start at middle C and play those same 5 notes. I'll do it 3 times so you can really get in and test yours and see how it sounds. Now, one thing to make sure of is that you don't have the little gear settings underneath this video sped up, because then it won't sound right. So make sure it's just playing at normal 1x speed and not either slowed down or sped up. Okay, so here, starting at middle C, I'll do it 2 more times and you can see if it sounded right on with your piano or if your piano sounded off.